All right, morning. I'm glad to have a chance to be with everybody this morning. This class, I was going to continue the series we've been doing over the last few weeks, and in this class, talk about this topic of discipline, meditation, and wisdom as three interlocking, interrelated mental trainings and activities that help to support each other. Um, the real goal in this practice is to develop a wisdom that sees ourself and the world in a new way, that is a way that is conducive to happiness and peace, and to free ourselves from the way of seeing the world that causes suffering, stress, pain, fear, misery. To build that wisdom, we need a concentrated, stable mind. And to build that concentrated, stable mind, then we need discipline and ethics in our behavior, minding and being careful with all of our daily activities. So I'll spell that out a bit more after we do some preliminary meditation. So we can begin with a bit of preliminary meditation and really just to observe the mind and how it works, observe our body and how it works. So we can begin finding a comfortable position, sitting straight if we can. We take a deep breath in and out. And then another deep breath and just inviting ourselves to relax. And then another breath, just asking ourselves what is important right now. And so we can gradually become more aware of our body and the feelings in our head and scalp, in the face and eyes, the mouth and jaw, the neck. And as we become aware of these parts of the body, we can let go of any tension or discomfort. We become aware of our shoulders, and down our arms into our hands and fingers. Relaxing into our chest and our upper back, allowing our chest to expand with the breath. Loosening through our diaphragm and down into our belly and lower back. Feeling the breath there as well. We relax down into our pelvis, relaxing the muscles there, feeling our breath down in the very bottom of our abdomen. And we feel down through our thighs, our calves, our feet, toes. And can we sense the movement of the breath throughout our body? there any slight sensation even in our feet? Each in breath and out breath, like the tide washing away any tension in our body. We let each breath, like the tide, just wash away tension from our body. And we keep our mind on the breath to wash away agitation from the mind or to settle the agitation from the mind. And then we can imagine that we are in a peaceful, inspiring, uplifting environment, and that around us are our friends, family, colleagues, acquaintances, past, present, anyone who's influenced our life, helped us to be where we are now. We imagine them all sitting around us, but imagine them all happy, peaceful, smiling, and delighted to be engaging in meditation along with us. This is our imagination. We can envision these people in any way we want. So we imagine them happy, peaceful, smiling, and delighted to be engaging in meditation along with us. Then we recall the kindness of these people. Directly or indirectly, they have made us the person we are now. So we develop a sense of gratitude. We can begin with anyone, friends, family, pets, anyone who's shown us kindness, beginning by generating a sense of gratitude for them and just kindling that feeling with whatever memories or recollections help us. And then we can develop a wish to repay the kindness of others by building our inner good qualities like our ethical discipline, our meditation or concentration, and our wisdom. Seeing these as the greatest strengths we can bring to the people around us, the greatest gifts we can offer. And then with this motivation, we can relax our concentration and arise from this meditation. So with these preliminary meditations, we usually, not always, but usually follow this very similar format, focusing on ourself immediately just down to each breath, or perhaps watching different aspects of what's going on in the mind, beginning to settle our own mind, and then extending our attention to our social circle and developing a recollection of their kindness and a wish to benefit them. In a few weeks' time, we'll start a long series of meditations on building this mind of loving kindness, empathy for others, patience, compassion, and so forth. Because these are distinct minds and skills within the mind that we can cultivate and train. And so meditation really is extraordinarily versatile. It's just a way of, as I said, I think in the class on Tuesday, there's at least two versions of meditation. One is just being comfortable, being quiet, just sitting on the couch and not being distracted by external things, including even reading, although reading is a great habit. But the ability to be comfortable and just introspective, we could say at a simple level, that's meditation. Meditation has also more formal and systematic ways of approaching it, but those are ways of changing the mind. I like to think as our mind, so as an analogy, as our mind becomes more calm, quiet, settled, inwardly drawn, peaceful, it's like we're sinking down to lower levels of the mind, less busy, agitated levels of mind, less sort of conscious thought, rational levels of mind, but more just emotional, inner, almost physical levels of mind, this physical introspection, awareness. And as we sink down, we get more leverage deeper in the mind. This idea of having leverage over our own mind, our own personality. There's a group that I'm a big fan of, the Center for Humane Technology. You may have seen a Netflix video called The Social Dilemma. and a speaker named Tristan Harris, who now runs this Center for Humane Technology. He describes the impact of social media, he describes the way that social media companies are organized as a race to the bottom of the brainstem. A race to the bottom of the brainstem. You've probably seen this classic presentation of the, like, sometimes like called the layer cake model of the brain, where you've got the superficial neocortex and prefrontal cortex responsible for all of our rational thinking, and then you've got like the limbic system, more emotional, the thalamus, and so there's more emotional parts of the mind, and then this very core brain stem, amygdala, tied to fear and threat responses and survival and breathing and so forth. And my parents all subscribe to a lot of political newsletters in their email. And so, when I look at their email inboxes, it's just a string of causes for indignation. Like every email, it's like, can you believe it? Right? It's just this incredible indignation, whether that's in politics or sports or this or gossip or whatever it is. We're wired for gossip. We're wired for indignation. We're wired for being attentive to threats and survival, right? And so a lot of news. I mean, there's endless things to be agitated about, but where something captures the parts of our mind that respond to cute, cuddly things, the cat and dog videos that are on the internet, or pornography, or sense of threats, or these are activating things much lower in the brainstem. And what's happening lower in the brainstem is all this unconscious activity that is in fact in charge of much of our mind and thinking. We tend to think I'm a rational person. We're much more, it's much more true that we're rationalizers. We're not so much rational, we're rationalizers. So it's like, why did you say that to so-and-so? I just thought that, he needed another perspective. Are you sure it wasn't like social posturing, right? Are you sure you weren't just trying to impress everybody else with what you said? So we rationalize. Anyway, so meditation is a way of getting lower deeper in the brain, deeper in the mind, getting more leverage, and finding a place of stillness, so that because if you're not in a place of stillness, you're in a place of agitation or distress. How will we be making decisions? We'll be making a decision on the basis of that anxiety, on the basis of that stress, on the basis of that fear, on the worry, on the craving. And all of those minds, one way of describing all of those minds, they're all craving. Buddhists talk a lot about the craving, right? But craving just means I'm not quite where I want to be, right? I'm craving protection. I'm craving quiet. I'm craving friendship. I'm craving power. I'm craving attention. I'm craving a simpler world, right? I'm craving a simpler life. Or those things, they're cravings. That doesn't mean that we're bad for having cravings. It just means that we need to know how the mind works, right? And there's this deep sense of craving that is always, so there's many levels of craving, from the level of addiction down to the level of the minor cravings that drive our behavior. And so when we're getting into I mentioned this topic of ethical discipline, concentration or meditation, wisdom, that these three build on each other. And on Tuesday, I talked more about ethical discipline and just building good habits as a way to train the strength of mind And the purpose of training that strength of mind is to be able to train that fine-grained control that comes through meditation. It's not just, it's not just, did you, you know, did you say something or did you go somewhere that you decided not to go? There's this temptation, or I decided I'm not going to do that, and I did it anyway, right? And then there's that battle of discipline. But in meditation, it's like, oh, I decided I wasn't going to think about anything other than my breath, but I thought about it anyway. Meditation is quite similar to discipline, but it's so fine-grained. Like, nobody will ever catch you. You can daydream all you want. You can come to all the meditation classes you want, and you can daydream through all of them, and nobody will ever catch you. So you could totally get away with it. It's only you and your discipline on this real fine-grained, subtle level. It's like, oh, look, okay, let's come back here. Let's focus. So meditation and discipline are closely related. Meditation is this fine-grained control over what we're paying attention to. But the power of that fine-grained control is to unlock wisdom. And so meditation and wisdom, they're often they're complementary. They are in fact, at some point, they're one part or two parts of the same mind, or two aspects of the same mind. The purpose of meditation is to have wisdom, is to cultivate our wisdom, and especially it's to bring that wisdom deeper down in the mind, right? Bring that wisdom deeper down in the brainstem, so to speak, so that bringing that level of calmness, solace, peace, as opposed to agitation, because agitation, literally, what it means is we feel like moving, we feel like changing, we feel like going somewhere. Why? Because we just don't quite feel right where we are. Something's not quite right. So we're like fidgeting physically, fidgeting mentally, uncomfortable, feeling like things are not right. We need to go somewhere, do something, change something. What is that? Something. It's a craving. It's a craving for a state that is other than where we are right now. And it indicates pain. At the heart of this all, there's a little bit of pain, right? There's a bit of agitation. If we're uncomfortable, what do? You shift. You have pain in your leg, you shift, right? A little bit of change makes things better. So there is some subtle or not so subtle pain that's often driving this behavior. And so our meditation, we're training in becoming peaceful. And how do we become peaceful? Partly we shine the light of wisdom on our own body and our own mind. We can just ask some of these questions. What's actually happening? What is going on? Like asking ourselves these questions, like being your own therapist. Like what's going on in your mind? What's going on in my mind right now? At the deepest level, there is the deepest wisdom that we're trying to cultivate is this wisdom that is composing a sense of self that is constant and stable throughout time, and regardless of what's actually going on, we have this strong sense of I, or self. And that sense of I or self is like a simplification of the world that is convenient and allows us to communicate and think and so forth, but it is dreadfully inaccurate. And to give an analogy, if you work in a fast changing company, you joined the company and you thought the company was like one thing, but within days, weeks, months, years, the company is something very, very different from what you thought it was originally. And so fast-growing company, they're changing every few months, right? It's a different company. And so people feel, workers in that environment naturally feel a bit agitated and lost. Feel lost, I think, is a good description, because there is this process of needing to constantly reevaluate. Okay, this company is very different than it was before, and find peace with that and work with a new state of that. But there's this difference between our mental conception of how things are and the apparent manifest uh, sense of how things are. It's exactly the same with the self. The self is like a corporation, corporation I. Um, we incorporate a sense that we are a person, despite the fact that our body and mind is just constantly changing. It's been changing over the course of many, many years, all these parts, but we simplify it all into the sense of self. We think we know who we are, but the moment we think we know who we are, it changes. Feelings change, understandings change, body changes, and that change causes this deep, profound sense of dis-ease. There's this discomfort because our mental model is never matching reality. There's constant craving to sort of get back to who we think we are, what we think life should be like. I should be respected. I should be this. I should be that, and so forth. So anyway, another broad, brisk tour of where this is all going, but hopefully this has been beneficial. So why don't we take a minute or so just to summarize and reflect on the time we've spent here. So we've spent now 30, 45 minutes contemplating, listening, meditating, reflecting on our own experience. And we can feel grateful that we've had this time, and grateful that our mind has changed, even in this brief time. New thoughts, new feelings have arisen, new intentions, new awareness. This is not a small feat. This is not a small thing. Changing our mind even a little bit creates the seeds for profound transformation, profound change. And our own change sows the seed for profound transformation for our friends, family, society. And then we develop a wish to carry this sense of increased peace, increased clarity, to carry this into our daily life. We make a strong decision to watch our mind and watch our speech and behavior in our daily life. So we can build the wisdom, peace, and clarity that we need. And then with this motivation, we can arise from meditation.